Hello aspirants, welcome to Spardha Lines. Today is day 3 of GPS General Study Edition. Today we are going to see the questions based on the modern history. So for the people who are new to this series, for them I will give brief idea about what exactly we are going to do this in this session. So after going through previously asked questions, I have found some themes, and these themes are recurring in nature, that UPSC repeatedly asking the question based on these themes. So what we are going to do here, we are going to prepare standard template for them, and based on this standard template we are going to answer the question. UPSC repeat the question in next year or this year. So this is about brief introduction of the this series. So now we'll move towards our actual discussion. If you have seen the discussion on ancient history or ancient history, medieval history and art and culture, you will be knowing that how we are going to approach the questions. So when it comes to question, first part is the decoding the question. While decoding the question, we have seen the three aspects when we are discussing ancient medieval question, but here there is one more aspect when we are going to discuss the modern history question, that is along with the context, theme, directive word. These aspects we have seen in medieval and ancient history PYQs. Also we are going to include one more aspect, that is the keyword. So UPSC usually mention the keywords like impact, implications, consequences. So that time usually when they mention this kind of keywords, the keywords comes into neutral nature. So we need to interpret them in two ways. Impact can be negative, positive. Also implication can be positive, negative, consequences same way. So this way we are going to divide the answer in again two parts. So this is about the brief idea of how we will decode the question when it comes to modern history. Then the understanding demand. When it comes to understanding demand, what we are going to see, our focus would be knowing the context, then finding the theme. Also we will focus on directive word. You have seen the based on the directive word we are going to make the parts in answer, and also based on the keyword we will make the parts in actual our body part. So so context we are going to just decode it, and our major focus would be articulating core demand. So core demand would be based on the theme only. So next part is introduction, the first part of the answer writing. So when it comes to introduction, in ancient and medieval history question, what we did, we directly gave the only factual introductions. So there we mentioned about the dynasty, the period, and other the major facts about the particular period or about the theme. So here there two more aspects of introduction we are introducing. When it comes to modern history, basically they will most of the time they will narrate the question. So the question will be form of statement. That time we cannot bring the facts. So that time we are going to write the narrative introduction. Now what is narrative introduction, we will see when we will deal with the question. So that time we will understand it better way. So a third part is will connect it to previous event. For example, if the question is about the Swadeshi movement, we can connect it to previous big movement, that is the partition of Bengal. So from that we can bring the flow in answer. Again when we'll suppose we are concluding the question, we'll see the conclusion, we'll go there. So second part is the structure. When it comes to structure, you have seen in ancient and medieval history questions where we were making the three parts: social, economical, political. Here also we are going to see social, economical and political. Apart from these three standard dimension, we are going to introduce two more. That is fourth one is administrative. You know the colonial India was the if you see the history, the administrative reform they introduced, they had the these reforms had the positive and negative implications. So when it comes to describing any event, we need to take reference of this administrative and it involves a lot of aspects, so we'll tackle it separate as a separate point. Then again, fifth dimension would be the international. So again, when it comes to modern history, it's about the colonization and decolonization. That time, also about the national movement. That time, many of the international events that influenced our national movement, and also the social setup, economical development, all these things. So we are going to mention the international influence of international events separately here. So this is about the brief idea about the structure. Then again, when it comes to presentation, we have there are two types of presentation. First is the aesthetic part, where we'll draw the flow chart, we'll draw diagram, maps, on other relevant things. Apart from this, content presentation. When it comes to content presentation, we have the standard approach. We will be writing the micro headings, and we'll explain this micro heading based on the examples. So what exactly in template, what we are doing, we are defining fixing some micro headings. Okay, and if the context changes, the only our example will change, but theme specific micro heading will be fixed. So this is about the again the brief idea about our standard template. Then last is the conclusion. If we see in ancient and medieval history question, we were concluding by linking it to somewhere about around the keywords or mentioning the government scheme or initiative. Here what we are going to do, we are going to link the conclusion to next big event. Okay, so just we were discussing the Swadeshi movement when we were discussing introduction. So that time, if we want to conclude the Swadeshi movement, then we'll link how the Swadeshi movement form the base for next Gandhian phase. So we are going to link it to next event. So there would be flow in our answer. So this is how this one will be our standard conclusion. So apart from this, we can write the summary. Okay, certain kind of question where we cannot link it to next event. So that time we need to write the summary. So we'll see when we'll tackle these kind of questions. So again, some general aspect we need to consider, that is the flow in answer. We have standard approach. We'll be using some joiners, and based on these joiners, we'll use the joiners when we'll write subheading, we'll write the conclusion. So there would be smooth flow in our answer. Then again, the value addition part, that is most neglected. Here we are going to add more examples. We'll mention the personalities. Okay, so this kind of aspect will bring it here to add value to our answer. So next we'll move towards the theme. So if you analyze the modern history question, there are 6 to 7 recurring themes. Based on these themes only, UPSC usually asks the question. First is the fragmented politics of India. We consider start of modern history from Battle of Plassey, and why the British succeeded in India because of the fragmented politics of India. So UPSC is quite interested in this theme. So they ask the question frequently, ask the question on this theme only. If you see 4-5 years ka question, 2-3 questions are there. They have asked on based on this theme. Then again 1857 revolt, that was the first blow to the British Empire in India. So again it becomes more relevant theme. Then third type of theme is the personality based question. They usually ask the viceroy, governor generals, and whatever policies their on that implication, consequences of their policies. So they ask question on this one only. Again, the next important theme where UPSC usually asks question, that is the comparison of national movement leaders. So previously also UPSC compared the Gandhiji with Subhash Chandra Bose, Gandhiji with Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Also last year they compared Gandhiji with Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore. So this way they compare two personality. For that we are going to frame the standard template, and based on this let the UPSC ask any kind of question, will tackle based on this standard sub point. So next is the policy of British. So British introduced more or less social economical policy, but when it comes to specific policy, economical can be dealt separately, and when it comes to social policy, we will see this social policy into social reform movement. So there we can segregate two parts. Social policy will integrate into social reform movement theme, and economic policy will deal separately. Then again major theme is the movement. where the movement like national movement. If you see the previous year question, they have asked a question on Swadeshi movement. They have last year they asked a question on Quit India movement. So national movement they usually ask question. Again the tribal movement they asked the question. In 2023 they asked the question on tribal movements. So this is the again the recurring theme. Apart from this, there is possibility they will ask question on labor movement, farmer movement. So considering the possibility and depending on the what we learned from previous year question, we will prepare the standard template, and if the UPSC asks question, so we are going to tackle it. Then again the next theme is the importance of moderates. Okay, UPSC the 5-6 year ka question, 2 or 3 questions are there where the UPSC asks a question on the moderate. So they might repeat the question this year again or in future. So we'll frame the standard template for this also. So now we'll start with our first theme, that is the fragmented politics of India. So if you see the question, this question asked in 2022, where the question was why did the armies of British East India Company, which mostly Indian soldiers that they constituted with Indian, there is some mistake in question. Mostly constituted Indian soldiers win consistently against the more numerous and better equipped armies of then Indian rulers. So, okay, so if you see the undertone there, again the fragmented politics is there, and if you see the question carefully, they are asking the reason. Okay, so when we write the reason, when we'll see first introduction, then we'll move towards the body part. In introduction, what we say, we can bring the facts also. So when it comes to facts, we can write the major battles where despite having the large army, British overpowered Indian rulers. So we can mention about Battle of Buxar, Battle of Plassey. Okay, so these are the major battles, we can mention it here. So and link it to question. Then we'll move towards the actual body part, structure. Now and also we'll include presentation here only. Now they are asking the reasons. So reason can be diverse, and if you want to bring flow in answer or structure it in better way, so we'll divide the reason between the political, economical, social. Also we can bring the military reasons and technological reasons. So we'll start with the political reasons. So first political reason was the most, again the same, divided houses. Okay, this would be our standard micro reading. You can give the example of Marathas. They divided between 6 dynasties, so that worked in favor of British. This you can mention it here. Then second, again the betrayal. That was the major point here, or major reason behind British success. You can give example of Battle of Plassey, where Mir Jafar betrayed in Sirajuddaulah. So you can mention this as an example here. Then again the third example, you can mention about the regional ambitions. Okay, Indian ruler, they had short-sighted views, so they interested in protecting their own interests rather than national interest. You can give examples of Nawab of Nizam of Hyderabad, Nawab of Awadh, who accepted British protectorate, and also they stayed away from the this conflict. So this again favored in for British only. So these were the political reasons we have written here, and this would be our standard point micro readings. We are adding just examples here. Then second and most important, that was the military and technology. If we see the military, the first thing comes into mind, that is leadership. Okay, leadership. British had the seasoned leaders like Arthur Wellesley, Robert Clive. So they led the armies, but when it comes to Indian rulers, they stayed back, and the only generals fought into battlefield. So that was the some aspect from leadership was lacking in when it comes to Indian ruler. Then again the technological, we can make artilleries. Okay, So British had the most advanced equipped artillery, so this also worked in favor of them. Then again, this paid their pays to soldiers. So British soldiers were well paid compared to Indian soldiers, and for the this was the major factor behind the betrayal. So this also you can mention here. Then next, again the major reasons are economical. Okay, economical, when it comes to economical funding. So this was the biggest reason where the Indian what the Indian lack. Again, these other reasons are connected with here. So due to lack of funding, again the issue of equipment. So they not had enough funds to spend finance the battles. When it comes to British, they had strong backing from the England. So the British army fought very well due to their financial backing. So this is the economical reason you can mention here. Then the last, again you can mention the social reason. Social reason become important because if you see the social division in India of that time, where the lower caste not allowed to fight into battlefield. So what happened? These lower caste joined the British, and and also it favored in British for Britishers. So you can give example of Battle of Bhima Koregaon, where the Mahars, who were the lower caste, they joined British because they were tired with exploitation and discrimination of the Peshwas. So again, this social angle was played a bigger role here. So this way we will writing the social, military, technological, economical, and the social reasons behind that worked in favor of British and not worked in favor of Indian rulers. So last part of our answer is the conclusion. When it comes to conclusion, first what we'll do, we'll summarize the answer. When it comes to summarize, we'll briefly mention the what worked in favor of Britisher, that is discipline, organization, strength, and same way it is lacked in Indian ruler. Plus, we'll link it to next events like eventually what it caused colonization of India and exploitation for next 150 years. So this way we can connect it to next part. So there would be smooth flow in our answer. So this is about the first theme, that is fragmented politics of India. Then we'll move towards the second theme, that is personality based viceroy. We'll tackle this theme with question only. The question is, they evaluate the policy of Lord Curzon and their long-term implication on the national movement. Okay, so they are asking evaluate. So they are asking to be critical to his policies. So now when it comes to policies can be social, economical, and also political. So this way we are going to divide the answer, the first part. Then again their implication, just we discuss, implication can be positive, negative. So what were the positive implication on the national movement and what were the negative implication on the national movement. So this way we are going to structure this answer. First part is the introduction. Again it can be factual here. We can mention the period of Lord Curzon and his number there, like he was the 7th, 6th, 7th or 8th. I'm not able to remember. You can mention that also. So this is about introduction. We'll keep it brief because we have lot of points to write in actual body part. So first part, the policies of Curzon. Okay, so they are asking evaluate. So we'll mention the policy and how it impacted or will be critical to this policy. First we'll write the political policies. First, when it comes to politics, it is about the representation. We can mention the Calcutta Municipality Act, where they reduced the non-official member. So this was the one aspect where they tried to reduce Indian to marginal. So this you can mention here. Then again you can mention Indian University Bill, Indian University Act. they term it as universities as a factory producing revolutionary, so they limited Indian participation into higher education. Eventually it impacted the national movement. So this aspect you can mention here. And another, when it comes to political policies of Curzon, the biggest policy was the partition of Bengal. Partition of Bengal. So again, when it comes to partition of Bengal, so what it did, that is the divided India on communal basis. Okay, so this one example, this is critical opinion, you can mention it here. Okay, then after the political policies, we'll move towards the his economical policies. When it comes to economical policy, the he introduced the irrigation policies, but eventually irrigation policy, better irrigation led to increase or expansion of commercialization of agriculture. That was the critical opinion for the irrigation. Then again, the industry related and trade you can include here only. We have the standard that agriculture, industry and trade, these are standard aspect we have when we'll tackle the economical dimension. So we can include both here. They disproportionately favored the British industries over the Indian industries. So eventually what it led to loop-sided development in India. So this you can write it here. Trade also, one-way trade was there. So Indian markets flooded by cheap machine-made British products, and eventually it is caused the devastation of traditional Indian cottage industry. Again, economic policy, expansion of railway. So due to expansion of railway, the British goods and ultimately reached to remotest part of India. So again, it impacted in the traditional Indian industry. So this aspect you can write it here. Then again, the social policies. So they favored more. They favored more the infrastructure over the social development. So we have seen low social development. It again linked to illiteracy. Also, his policy of divide and rule, again it led to communal divide. Along with communal divide, it also divided Indian society into upper caste versus lower caste. Okay, so they termed Congress as a party of the upper caste people. So they alienated lower class and caste people from the Congress. Actually, they tried there. So this aspect we can mention it here. This is about the policy, that is the first demand. What are the social, economic, political policy and their critical evaluation. Next is the implications. So now implication again can be two-way. We have seen positive. So when it comes to positive implication on the national movement, first one is it strengthened the roots of national movement. You can take the reference of partition of Bengal. What eventually it led that Swadeshi movement. Okay. Then second, rise of extremist. Again, you can link it to partition of Bengal, where the moderate gone into backfoot and extremist took leadership of national movement. So this angle you can write. We can keep in mind economical angle, write about the start of or rise of Swadeshi industries. Okay, that because of the again his policies. Then again national education. Okay, this was it worked in favor of Indians that due to his repressive policies, eventually that national leaders established national schools, colleges, and they brought Indians, youths and students into national movement. So this was the positive implication. Apart from this, again the national movement previously, which was the confined to the political aspect, then eventually it is spread across all the social aspect. You can take the example of art. So you can write the paintings ka example. where the Abhindranath Tagore and Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore, they revived traditional Indian paintings, style of painting. Okay, so this aspect you can write it here. Again, the technological aspect, Indians established technological schools. So this also again worked in favor of India. So again, when we write the positive, negative aspects were there. Mostly Curzon policy, these are the whatever the positive implication were, they were the indirect implication, but direct implication was the negative one. So this becomes again the most. So foremost is the communal divide. Okay, so Indians divided based on the religion. That was the major aspect of major negative implication of the Curzon policy. Then again, they modernized police. So administrative aspect we forgot to write in when we are writing the policy. We can write the one more policy, that is administrative reforms. You can write the example of police reform. So what it eventually led it, like repressive, it strengthened repressive agenda. Okay, again it divided the nationalist. So here they started moving the moderates and liberals. So eventually what led to Surat split in 1907, where the nationalists divided based on the moderate and extremist phase. So this was the again negative implication of the Curzon's policy. So what in overall answer what we have written, we have analyzed the policy from various angles: social, economic, political. Again we have added administrative angle, and implication we have seen the both implication, that is positive and negative. So here if you see our answer is very comprehensive, and there are high chances that you will get the more marks here. So now the last part is conclusion. Okay, conclusion will briefly summarize the answer. We'll write it. His policy had the negative and positive implication, but ultimately what is clear? Strengthening of national movement. So this way we are going to conclude this answer. Okay. Then the next theme is the 1857 revolt. Okay, this is again the UPSC usually asks question on this one only. Because 1857 revolt becomes more important, because whatever the development happened before 57 revolt and after 57 revolt, both were if you try to link, they are linked to the 57 revolt. Some causes that whatever the social, economic, political development were there before 57 revolt, so that eventually caused the 57 revolt. And after that, because of the 57 revolt, British introduced various policies, or they changed their stance on the various aspects. So that also you can link it to 1857 revolt. So this again it becomes a watershed movement. So we'll see how we'll tackle this point. So the question is the 1857 uprising was the culmination of recurring big, small local rebellions that had occurred in preceding 100 years of British rule, illucide. Now if you see the directive word is illucide. Illucide in the sense we need to expand the statement. If the directive word would have been critically analyzed or other things, we have seen, yes, it was the culmination of the recurring events, but actually also the that context or some reasons that or development happened in that time, that also helped in or worked in favor of uprising, this uprising, but it asking illucide. So our 90% part of answer should explain this one. How was the 1857 revolt culmination of the recurring big and small rebellions? So here we are going to spend 90% of part of our answer. So introduction, when it comes to introduction, we'll give the overview that like here if the question is about the 1857 revolt, so we can we'll going to again divide by social, economic, political aspect. So you can write that one here. So you can see the 1857 revolt was not sudden, but eventually or it was the result because of the recurring social, economical, political development happened in India, and that due to the administrative and political changes implemented by Britishers. So this way we can introduce. Then again it is when we are discussing introduction in brainstorming part, that time we see we'll narrate introduction. So this way we are narrating the introduction, that we are giving the overview, by giving the overview. So this is the one example of how we will write the narrative introduction. So now we'll move towards the actual body part. Here we'll be writing how this the following way 1857 revolt was the culmination of the recurring event. So this would be our subheading. Then we'll write the first is the political causes. So when it comes to political causes, most important is doctrine of lapse. So through this doctrine of lapse, what British did, they interfered or they deposed the local Indians. So they eventually rebelled. You can give examples of Marathas, okay, or Punjab. Second Sikh war happened because of this one. So this example you can write it here. Then second part is the interference by British through their agents. You can give the example of Kutch rebellion. Okay, so this is because of the interference in internal matter. Again, there was it led Britisher policy led displacement of local rulers, zamindars. So Paika rebellion ka example you can also give it here. Okay, then after the political, these are political aspect. Then we'll move towards the economical causes. When it comes to economical causes, the most important is repressive policies of Britisher. So what was the repressive policy? That was land reforms, land revenue policy. Okay, so because of the land revenue policy, there were many rebellions happened. Most prominent was the Sannyasi or revolt of Jungle Mahal, you can write. Okay, then again it economic policy led destruction of industries, local industries, or what eventually it is called unemployment. So what it is again culminated, these unemployed people backed the local rebellions. So this you can write it here. Apart from this, the most prominent was the social religious causes. Okay, so these also sparked some rebellions. And when it comes to social religious, most are associated with tribal movements. So when first one is the interference by missionaries. Okay, so their activity caused more major rebellions here. You can give examples of from the tribal movements in central India. Then again that their rejection or interference into religious aspect, you can give the example of Vellore Mutiny. Okay, so this example you can mention it here. Again the social reform movements. Okay, social reform movements that also strengthened stand-up orthodox element. Also some aspect in some extent it led to tribal movement. So these aspect you can mention it here. So what we have did, we have divided whatever the recurring small and big rebellions were there. We divided it based on the political, economical, social, religious causes. So if you see this answer, we have structured it in a very better way by dividing based on their nature. So now when it comes to conclusion of this question, so in conclusion what we will do, we will summarize this answer. There were certain reasons which caused the local rebellion and culminated into 1857 revolt. We will write about the 1857 revolt as first war for independence. Okay, so this way we can connect it to again 1857 revolt. So this is about the this theme, 1857 revolt theme. If in future they ask question what caused the 1857 revolt, so you can write about the political, economical, social, religious causes, and finally you can write about the immediate causes. One more aspect you can write it here. Okay, here immediate causes, we all know introduction of the Enfield rifle, so that caused sparked in the among the Indian soldiers and eventually culminated into 1857 revolt. So this one aspect you can include along with the other points. So this way we can tackle the question based on 1857 revolt. If they ask the question why the 1857 revolt was the watermark movement, you can write again the social, economical, political aspects, and you can say the link it to like reform policy introduced by Britisher after that 1857 revolt. Okay, so again it united Indians also, and also it led to the modernization of administration and also economy of India. So this way you can tackle that question also. Okay, then we'll move towards the next question. That is again personality based. Second is the comparison of national movement leaders. Okay, so before going to this question, we'll briefly see if the UPSC asks question in what aspect we are going to compare the two leaders. Okay, first would be the their ideology. Okay, ultimately when they ask us to compare two leaders, they most of the time they will be associated with some different ideology. We can mention it here. First ideology, second is their strategy. Okay, what the strategy used for the national movement, so or whatever their social religious movement. So this we can use the one aspect to compare them. Then against the approach, if leader is the national movement, we can write his approach towards social reforms. If leader is associated with the social reform movement, we can write this approach toward the politics. Okay, after that we can write about their social base. So whether they included the leader, these leaders had the egalitarian viewpoint or not, whether they included all the demographic elements or there is to all the geographies of India or not. This aspect we can write it here. Then we can write about the impact on government. So how their strategies, their approaches impacted government, or what the changes introduced by British government of the time. So based on these 5 aspects, we can compare the any two leaders. Okay. So now when it comes to this question, they ask about what was the difference between the Mahatma Gandhi and Rabindranath Tagore in their approach toward the education and nationalism. So question is going very specific where they are asking for the education and nationalism. But again, our points would be same. So when it comes to introduction, we can write about their brief background. We can mention that Gandhiji was the leader of political movement of India, where the Rabindranath Tagore was the leader of cultural movement of India. So this way we can write the introduction. Then when it comes to writing the difference, when it comes to presentation, whenever you write the difference, use this format. Here write the two leader, okay, and here write the on what basis you are going to compare them. Per se, it is strategy. You can write it in middle, 1 point here, 1 point here. Then second, approach. Okay, again 1 point here, second point here, second point, whatever the numbers you are giving. So this way if you are writing, then your presentation will improve. So this aspect you need to remember here when you write the differences. Now we'll see on what factor we can, or we'll see whatever the aspects we have just seen, whether they are we can able to apply here or not. So we have written the introduction. Now we'll see the approach toward the education and nationalism. First we'll see education. So what was the first we'll see the strategy, what Gandhiji strategy he used. He introduced Naye Talim. Okay, where he emphasized on all-round personality development. Okay, in other aspect, Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore he introduced Vishwa Bharati. Okay, which emphasized on universal humanism aspect. You can mention that way. Then also their base you can write here. So what was the base? Gandhiji was more interested in holistic education, which had the which influenced by Indian core values. But when it comes to Rabindranath Tagore, he was liberal in nature, so he was in favor of integration of traditional and Western liberal ideas. So this also you can write it here based of their educational idea here. Then again, when it comes to nationalism, okay, we'll see the approach. What was the approach? Gandhiji see nationalism as a way or factor to unite masses. So this you can write it here. When it's come to Rabindranath Tagore, he was against the idea of nationalism itself. He was very well-known internationalist. So he was against this idea of nationalism. So what his approach was, he used to say that dividing people based on nationalism will sideline the aspect of humanity, that is humanism. So this was his view on the nationalism. Then again, strategies. So Gandhiji, what strategy used? Satyagraha. He took the reference of Indian values, core traditional values, to unite the people. When it comes to Rabindranath Tagore, he introduced Shantiniketan, where he united people irrespective of their national roots. So this way, this strategy used to unite the people as a human, not a nationalist leader. So again, if you see the their causes, reason behind the idea of nationalism, Gandhiji's idea behind the nationalism was he wanted India to succeed into her political struggle. So that was the reason. Again, when it comes to Rabindranath Tagore, he prioritized a cultural renaissance over the national struggle, but he eventually favored into revival of national elements, national or tradition, some cultural elements. So this way you can tackle the both aspects, education and the nationalism. Again, our points are remaining same: strategy, their base against strategy, their ideas on this particular aspect. So this way we are going to tackle this personality question based on personalities. Okay. Then again, our next question is the social reform movement. If we see the question based on social reform movement, they usually ask what were the causes of emergence of social reform movements, what were their impact, consequences. So these kind of usual questions UPSC asks. So if we see this question, this says that trace the rise and growth of social religious reform movements with special reference to young Bengal and Brahmo Samaj. So question is also broad based, and also they are limiting its area to the Brahmo Samaj and young Bengal movement. So here when it comes to introduction, we can take a reference of these two movements. We can write about young Bengal movement, who established them, and also what were the basis. Their basis was in promoting rationalism, and also most important was challenging orthodoxy. Okay, so these two aspects we can mention in introduction itself, along with the basic facts about these two movements. Then we'll move towards the body part. Here we'll make the two parts, where we'll trace the rise separately and growth separately. So when it comes to rise, we'll what we can write. There were several reasons behind the rise of this social religious reform movements. So after that, we can again when we see the reasons or causes, we'll see this angle from the social religious causes and political causes. Certain aspect we can see the economic causes also. So now the question is about social reform movement. So first our dimension would be social religious causes. So here we'll write the first social religious causes. So when we'll write the social religious causes, we'll trace the what were the certain social evils were there that led to rise of these movements. So first will be the conducive condition. So here can write about the backwardness of Indian society and prevalence of certain social evils. Then we can write about the conducive condition created by colonial rule itself. So exposure to colonization, and also English and language plus Western education we can write. So what Western education like led? It led to establishment of rationality. Okay, and these leaders questioned the orthodox and stagnant social order. So these were also social religious causes were there. Again, you can write about the growing intelligentsia movement in the Bengal, particularly Bengal, because they are mentioning about the young Bengal and Brahmo Samaj. So these aspects you can write about here. Again, next, the favorable attitude of colonial. Okay, so this they had basis in the Western Renaissance, so they supported these reform movements. You can give the example of ban of sati in 1930. So this way you can write the social and religious causes. Then we'll move towards the political causes. Okay, when it comes to political causes, we can take the reference of the development in Europe. So the French Revolution, okay, which established liberty, equality, and fraternity. So this was the beginning of political modernization, and that influenced the Indian intelligentsia, who believed on the equality, fraternity, and this again led to the reform movement, strengthening reform movement. So this was the one causes. Again, you can write about the administrators, the Oriental supporters who actively supported this intelligentsia. In fact, they backed this intelligentsia to bring the reform movement. So these were the social and political, religious and political causes. We can write it here. Then in second part, we'll move. We trace the how it grown. Okay, so here we'll write the again transitional paragraph. Here we'll see that thus the above social, religious, and political reasons favored development of social religious movement, and also with the active support of the administrator, it started growing. So when it comes to growing, we'll stress the separately Brahmo Samaj and Young Bengal. So when it comes to Brahmo Samaj, so again our the subheadings would be same, but we'll write separately. We'll see about their demographic reach. So if you see the work of Raja Ram Mohan Rai, he took the issues regarding women, also he took the issues regarding farmers, also the lower caste. So they had the wider social base. So we can write about demographic reach. Also we can write about geographical reach. Okay, so geographical reach, we know that when the under the leadership of Tagore, it expanded, it went beyond the Bengal. So this aspect we can write here. Also we can write about the role of press here. Through the press, they promoted their ideas. So this aspect favored in growth of the Brahmo Samaj movement. Also they got the wider audience. So this aspect we can write here. Wider audience in the sense well-aware Indians. So they eventually supported this movement. So it grown from demography to the geography also. So this aspect we can write. And also when it comes to the Young Bengal movement, we can again will see based on these certain points. First will be demographic reach or social base. We'll see the Young Bengal movement was the deeply rooted among the youths. So they touched untouched sections here. So that aspect we can write here. And also we can one point we can add here, their approach. So that have the different approach. They brought the academic associations which spread their ideas through the students into society. So this aspect we can write. So combining all this aspect, that is the demographic reach or creating social base, the geographical reach, their new approaches, use of new methods like press, also the favorable audience. So through this aspect, that these movements grown in that particular period. So this way we can write about the rise and the growth in separately. So final part is the conclusion. Okay. So when we are discussing conclusion, we discuss that some standard conclusions we have. Briefly, we can write summary, and also to the next part we can write it here. We can write how it created base for national movement. Okay, so they united Indians. Also, they formed the intelligence base for the rise of national movement. So this way we can connect these social reform movements to the national movement. So this way, if let them ask question on the any movement, any social religious movement, you can answer this question with this approach. You can write the social religious causes, then you can go to political causes. Also, while tracing the growth, you can see this demographic reach, geographical reach. Also, you can their unique strategy, the approaches they use. So based on these standard points, you can tackle the question based on social religious reform movements. Okay, then we'll move towards the policies of Britishers. So when just we discuss when they ask specifically about the policies of Britisher, UPSC majorly focus on economical policy. If social policies they are asking, then it will be linked to the reform, social reform movement. Again, same points will come, the causes, social religious causes, political causes. Now we'll see tackle this economic policy separately. So we'll see the question, examine critically the various facets of economic policies of British in India from mid 18th century till the independence. So they are asking facets of economic policy. Now, when we are discussing the ancient and medieval question, when it comes to economic policy, what the standard approach we are using, the standard subheadings, we were seeing the agriculture, then we were seeing the trade, then industry. Okay, so these were standard subpoints we used when we were tackling the questions in ancient and medieval history. So when it comes to modern history, we'll include some modern aspect, that would be the infrastructure. Okay, again the major like taxation system. So these aspects we can include in addition to these above points. Taxation also, with taxation we can include the finance also. So okay, based on these facets, we'll see how it is like this policy will evaluate these policies, economic policies. Okay, if you remember when we were discussing the introductions, the types of introduction, we had one approach. We said we'll narrate the introduction. So now if we see here this question, okay, you'll get to know that we cannot bring any fact here. Okay, so here we need to narrate the introduction. So when it comes to narrative introduction, what we'll do, we'll give the overview. Okay, so we'll giving overview, we'll mention the facets in introduction itself. We'll mention the British economic policies in India, covering the agriculture, trade, industry, infrastructure, taxation and finance, which introduced to transform India from prosperous export to serve for their country. So this way we can narrate the introduction here. Then we'll move towards the body part. Okay, when we write a body part, question is critically examine various facets of economic policy. So we can bring some innovation to present our answer here. So what we can do, we can write agriculture this side, industry, trade, infra, then taxation and finance, and we can write the implications this side only. Okay, so this way we can articulate answer in better way. So when it comes to agriculture, what was the major point, major economic policy? That is the land revenue, new land revenue policy. Okay, so what eventually led to exploitation. Okay, then also commercialization. So what are the certain food crops Indians used to produce that replaced by the cash crops? So this way they commercialize Indian agriculture. So this implication we can write it here. Then second is the industry. So when it comes to industry, what they actually did, they favored the British capitalists to establish their base in India. So they favored the machine-made goods. So eventually it impacted Indian industry by destruction of traditional industry. Okay. Also, it led to again some Indians like Jamshedji Tata. These people took inspiration and they established some industry. So again, in positively, it impacted growth of indigenous industry. So in beginning part, that was the cotton and jute mills. This example you can write it here. Now when it comes to trade, we know they impose a 70% tariff on the Indian exports to Britain. So this way, one-way trade they introduced here. Also they used introduce rationing for the Indian shipping industry. So that aspect you can write it here only, one-way trade. So what eventually did it? Loop-sided development. Okay, so that one-way trade again destroyed the Indian handicraft industry, cottage industry. That aspect you can write it here. It de facto started colonization of India, that India become exporter of goods to British country. So this aspect you can write. Infrastructure, they brought railway, telegraph, they introduced irrigation facility, but into only the favorable location. So what it eventually led, that is the regional disparity. Okay, again the infrastructure, this infrastructure favored Britishers only, because again the British machine-made goods reached to the remotest part. So again in other way it destroyed Indian industries. So this aspect you can write here. Again the taxation of finance. So you know the Indian industry taxed, they imposed heavy taxes on them. So they struggled. They struggle when it comes to economical sustainability. So that aspect you can write here. And when it comes to finance, they disproportionately favored the British industries. So again it caused disproportionate development in when it comes to Indian industries. So these aspects you can write it here. So what we did, we written all the facets in one side, we written the implication on the other side. Okay, so again the question we need to balance, there were if you see the British rule, there were, if 99 like negative implications are there, then at least one would be the positive implication. So before concluding, we'll write some positive aspect, that it modernized Indian economy by integrating into world economy. But eventually again we need to highlight the negative aspect. So what we'll say, that the economic policies of Britishers favored them only rather than local Indian. So this way we can conclude this answer by writing the summary, and also by giving the overview of the and background reason behind their policies. Okay, this is about the economical policies of Britishers. Then our next theme is the movements. We have seen when it comes to movement, they ask question on the tribal movement. They have asked question on the national movements like Quit India, Swadeshi movement, and also there are chances they will ask question on the labor and farmers movement. So here we'll frame the standard template for this. First briefly we'll see what we'll exactly do when it comes to movement based question. Okay, so when it comes to movement, first we'll write about the leaders, who leaders associated with them. You can mention them in introduction itself. Then the ideology. Okay, this applies when we'll write the labor movements. Then we can write about the strategies used by them. Okay, if, for example, if you see the national movement, they use this constructive strategies. Okay, not only they emphasize not only political struggle, but they work towards the uniting India socially. Also they worked towards the development of Swadeshi industry. So this aspect comes into constructive strategies. Then we can see about the social base of that movement. Okay, who were at the heart of that movement. We can see tribal movements, specifically they found their base among the tribals itself, but also they got support from outsiders, from mainstream Indians. So these aspect we can write it here. Then again, final aspect, just to be seen in the personality based question, we can write about what was the impact of on government. Eventually, if we see the this aspect, we can use for conclusion. Take the any movement, national movement. When the national movement started, the British, some impact happened on Britishers. They come for negotiations. So this aspect we can write it here in conclusion for this aspect. Okay. So now we'll see the this actual question. We specifically see for tribal movements, because tribal movements we are saying because they might ask question this year, because there are various tribal related development happened this year. The 100th birthday of Bhagwan Birsa Munda is also this year, last year. So again they might repeat this question. So we'll see this now. So how did colonial rule affect the tribal in India, and what was the tribal response to colonial operation? Okay. Now they are asking how did. So in what way colonials their rule impacted tribals in India. So before the starting, in introduction, we'll give the basic reason behind this one, the tribal movements. So we can write about it. The British policy led political marginalization. Their undermined tradition. Okay. And finally they introduced policy to isolate them politically. So these aspects impacted tribals in following way. Then we can come towards our actual body parts. So we can write impact of colonial rule. So okay, these two words can connect, interlinked. Impact of tribal rule, colonial rule. Okay, again when it comes to impact, we are seeing the different dimensions: social, economical, political. First we'll go with the social dimension, social impact, because this was the major factor when it comes to tribals. So what in social impact, what happened first was the erosion of their tradition. Okay, traditional institutes that eroded due to missionary activities. So these aspects we can write. Then we can write about the breakdown in their customs. Okay, so this aspect again the that broke the gender equality. So how gender equality it broke? If you see the tribals, they associated with self-sufficient economy, that there is a totally division of work between the male and female. So when the tribal British policies destroyed this self-sufficient economy, they destroyed their forest dependent economy. That eventually what they did, they gave male got employment, but women they confined to household. So this way it impacted the gender equality that was prevalent from the ancient period among the tribal. So this way, so socially it impacted. Again the religion, the conversion movement happened. So Christianization of tribal happened there. You can give the example of Northeast. So this way you can write the social impact. Then write about the political impact. Okay, political impact, again isolation from the mainstream India. So it's impacted, like there is problem of integration that we still facing. So it has roots in British rule. This aspect we can mention here. Also the most important, they lost autonomy. Okay, they had elected kings eventually when British introduced modern administrative system. So the tribal leaders lost the autonomy or the authority they enjoyed throughout the period. So this was the political impact on tribal. Then we'll move towards the economical impact. So it turned the tribal economy, impacted tribal economy. First, if we see the land relations, the lands were owned communally, but the Britisher policy, like new land settlement policies, made it emergence of private property. This aspect you can write it here. Again, British imposed some restriction to use on the forest produce. So this what led displacement of tribals. Again, the expansion of commercial agriculture into tribal land, that again led the loss of self-sustaining economy or food insecurity. Commercialization, that is the main facet. So again, the most important part is the introduction of industries. Written about the agriculture. Now we need to write about the industries. So if we see the Britisher introduced the mining industries in the tribal part, like Chota Nagpur Petuka example you can take. So what is led, again eventually it led displacement. Okay, they also introduced plantation industries. So what plantation industry led to? Forced labor. Okay, again with our standard approach agriculture point, industry point, we are able to cover it here. So these were the broad Britisher impact, social, political, economical impact on tribals. Then the second part is the how the tribal responded to this colonial oppression. So this aspect we will deal separately now. So for that, we again need to write we need to write a transitional paragraph where we will writing this about the political social impact caused destruction of the tribal autonomy, and tribal responded in following way. So there were different kinds of response tribal given to Britishers. First was the military response, we can write military or violent response. Okay, this you can use it here. You can give certain examples like Santal rebellion was there, Munda rebellion was there. So this example you can mention when you write the military or violent rebellion. After that, we can write about the political response. Okay, so what is the formation of tribal movements, tribal groups? Eventually, it mobilized tribal to take over the Britishers. So mobilization was one of the facet. Then again it integrated with national movement. Okay, how you can give the example of Jharkhand Mukti Morcha, which was at the base here only. They they coordinated with mainstream national leaders to get relief from the British operation. So these were the major military violent response, political response to Britishers. Again, the third you can write about the economical. In economical, you can write about the development of Swadeshi. So eventually, when the Gandhian phase started, the tribal got integrated, or they started integration into national movement. They took inspiration and they went for the Swadeshi, indigenous products. So this aspect you can write over. So they destabilize the British economy, which has the root in tribal regions. So this way you can write about the military violent response, and also the political, like the non-violent response also. So what we did in first part, we wrote the impact on the various aspects of tribal life, and then we wrote how the tribal retaliated against this British oppression. So this way we are writing the main body part. Then again conclusion, when it comes to conclusion part, Okay, so we can write the summary, and again we can touch to the present time. Just I said the issue of tribal integration has the root in British policies, so we can link it there only. British have not only destroyed the tribal autonomy or tribal society, but they created long-term issues for India, like integration tribal into mainstream society. So this way we can conclude this answer. Okay, now the next part is the next again the movement part only. Here we are going to see the national movement. Okay, or also we can see the moderate and extremist. UPSC asking question on the moderate, also we can integrate moderates into national movement. So even the question asked on the national movement, we are going with same issues. The what factors led to emergence of national movement? Certainly, how we wrote the social reason causes when it comes to tribal movement. We'll write the political causes. Okay, that were the major factor behind the rise of national movement. Okay, same way when it comes to labor movement, we'll write the economical. Also, when it comes to farmer movement, we'll write the economical causes. So this way, depending how the context changes, we'll prioritize the point depending on this that changing context. Okay, next we'll see the national movement, or also the question is about the moderates. Okay, so to what extent, question is say, to what extent did the role of the moderate prepare base for the wider freedom movement? Okay, to what extent? Okay, so the question itself has the two meaning. They are saying the one way it is saying it is created base, and other says it had created a limited base. So we need to write this both point both angle when they use the certain this kind of word. To what extent? Okay, so again when it comes to introduction, we write about the moderate phase of moderate, that in 1885 to 1905. Okay, we can mention the major leaders. Dadabhai Nauroji was there. Okay, so other like Gokhale. So we can mention the major leaders, and we can directly move towards our body part now. So role of first would be role of moderates. While preparing base for wider freedom movement. Okay, this would be our subheading. Then we'll write the one by one in how in various aspects they played a larger role. So when it comes to politics, okay, they started discourse. Okay, they started idea of nationalism here by making people believe into they can have the freedom from this oppression. So discourse they started, or you can say it awareness. Okay, then again they opposed to various legislations, the particular repressive legislations. So from that the wider social the Indians got that weapon that we can oppose the British in a democratic way also. So next one you can write the democratization of social order. Okay, if you see the base of moderates, they included leaders from all the regions and all the state of the society. Not only the upper class but lower class also. Some lower class leaders were also there. Also lower caste leaders were there. Also the Hindu leaders were there. Muslim leaders were there. So basically they brought everyone together here. So unity factor was the or consolidation factor was visible through the moderate throughout the modern phase. Second, it comes to economy. What role they played? The exports, colonial exploitation. You can give the example of Dadabhai Nauroji's economic drain theory. Then again, they supported farmer movements. Okay, where they raise the voice against the exploitation of farmers and the new land revenue policies. So this aspect we can bring. Again, they started indigenous industries. Okay, they just not did the mouthpiece job of exposing economic drain, but they started the development of indigenous industries. So this aspect you can introduce here. Then again, when it comes to social, in social aspect also they played wider role when it comes to reform movements. Okay, they supported the reform movements here. Also they believed on gender equality. Okay, these are the basic aspects. They in this area they worked here. Again, you can bring points of demographic reach here also. Okay, they try to integrate tribals into the wider national movement. So this way you can write they played greater role when it comes to consolidating base for the future national movement. But question is says that to what extent they their role was visible. So you need to write the other part also. So there were certain limitations when it comes to moderate phase. Okay, first was the class restrictions. Okay, though they included the higher class, upper class and lower class, but it again confined to the educated class only. So this aspect you can write it here. Then also write the point that belief on the masses. So moderate throughout the moderate phase there was hardly there was the passive resistance movement. So this aspect you can include here. So many times moderates got criticized because of they not believed on the capacity of the masses. So that is also major point. Also they failed to develop the larger idea on the nationalism or the Swaraj. Every moderate had the different idea on the Swaraj, but no one favored into that complete independence from Britishers. So this was the again the limitation. Again limitation when it comes to their strategies. That is 3 P's. Okay, so this also led to eventually rise of the revolutionary movements, and also the gave the rise to extremist movement. So these were some limitations when it comes to moderate phase. But again we need to conclude into positive phase, because moderates they worked wholeheartedly for Indian national movement and consolidate its base. So this is what we are going to say, that despite they had the certain limitation, but they created the base and they consolidated masses and prepared them for next to Gandhian passive resistance phase. So this way we can conclude this question. Okay, this is about the major themes that recurring in nature in modern history. So again there are certain themes, theme based question we are giving you for practice. First is the personality. They are comparing two personalities. You can use the standard template we created for this one also. Again the moderate, just we have seen the we are going to social, economic, political. That template also you can use and try to answer. Uprising of 1857, there also we have created one standard template. We have created a standard subparts for that also you can try to use and answer this question. So today we are going to finish this discussion. So today we have completed ancient modern with art and culture, and also the modern history. We are coming on the Monday with previous year questions on world history and post independence. So for today we are finishing this discussion. Thank you very much.